You're listening to the Joint Force on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best. And today we are joined by a very special guest. We have U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson. He's the Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe and also the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Great talking with y'all.
Big news lately. We have the COVID vaccine is here. It's happening. As of right now, who are we offering the vaccine to, sir?
Great question. So, yes, we do have the COVID vaccine, and it has been distributed to all 12 of our Army MTFs that I'm responsible for here in theater. And its distribution is phase-driven, meaning the Department of Defense has kind of laid out priorities of who we vaccinate and how we move through those various personnel groups in order to prioritize who gets the vaccine first. So the first focus was on healthcare providers and first responders. We are pretty much all through that group except for a handful that may have been on leave or ROM while we were initially offering it at their clinics. And now we've begun to move into some of our more highly deployable forces, our over 75 population, and then also some of our populations that have high contact rates, such as DODEA teachers, folks that are in health services that may not actually be a clinician but support staff. And so each of our MTFs is kind of at a different place with all of those populations, kind of based on both how much vaccine they got and how big those populations are in those various places. But, we're working down our priority list, and as we get through those higher priority folks, then we'll begin to move into our healthy family members, healthy service members, and begin to vaccinate them.
Well, I think it's awesome that we're just out here knocking it out, getting people the vaccine so that they can be safe. But my next question is, can local national employees receive a COVID vaccine at an Army medical treatment facility?
So, our local national population workforce, is really an integral part of what we do. And while right now they cannot receive the vaccine, we are actively working with Department of Defense and our various host nations here throughout Europe to figure out what the parameters are that could potentially allow us to provide the vaccine to our local national employees. Obviously, involved in that conversation is also the work councils, but we are hoping within a very short period of time we will have an answer, and we are hopeful that the answer is going to be yes, that we will be able to provide vaccine to them. But right now, at this moment, we cannot offer them vaccine until we get those questions cleared up.
My next question, sort of relating to that, is can children also get vaccinated?
So at this period of time, children cannot be vaccinated. So the initial trials for the two vaccines we have totally on the market, Pfizer and Moderna, the lowest age that they provided vaccine to in the trials was 16 for the Pfizer vaccine. Here in Europe, we have the Moderna vaccine where the lowest age in the trials was 18. So the EUA, the Emergency Use Authorization, the FDA approved for these vaccines, only allows it to be used in individuals over the age of 18 for the Moderna vaccine. I will say both of the vaccines that have currently been approved are actively have trials going on for the use of the vaccine in children, so we will have an answer on that question, hopefully in the relatively near-term future, but for now the vaccine is for adults only.
Okay. Well, that was great info. Thank you so much, sir. And once again, that was U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson. He is the Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe and also the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon. But don't go anywhere, because coming up, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the COVID vaccine with Brigadier General Thompson. It's the Joint Force on AFN.
You're listening to the Joint Force on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best, and today we're joined by U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson. He's the Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe and the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon. Sir, some people, they may be very hesitant to take the COVID vaccine. How do we know it's safe?
So that's really a great question, and it's certainly a question we're getting a lot of. So first of all, it's important to realize that the vaccines currently being used by Pfizer and Moderna here in Europe, again, it is Moderna, are a messenger RNA mRNA-based vaccine that really has been kind of out there being studied, being looked at for about a 10-year period of time. I think there's a thought that this is somehow a new vaccine, kind of first time it's ever been used, and the reality is it's something that has really been looked at very closely for about 10 years. Second, both of these vaccines went through all of the requisite trials and safety measures in order for them to be approved by the FDA for an emergency use authorization. They certainly went quickly, but they went quickly mostly because many of the bureaucratic steps that are in place for vaccines, they didn't have to get in any lines, so to speak, because of the importance of the vaccines to the public's health. But they went through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials, and in some ways, because they kind of went through the process quickly as the calendar goes, they got a lot of extra scrutiny as they were going through that. So, I've been watching vaccine development in my job as a physician for 30 plus years, and even though these two vaccines went through the process quickly, they met all the safety checks, and in reality, they might be two of the safer vaccines that have ever hit the market due to all the extra scrutiny they received due to the fact that they did pass through the process quickly.
That's really good to know, and a lot of that's actually new information to me. I have one more question, though. Are there side effects when taking the vaccine?
Sure. So, and side effects, I would say very similar to the flu vaccine. So, first of all, very common to get a little soreness at the injection site, and immediately kind of in the first 24 hours after the vaccine. That fades pretty quickly. Some folks have related that they have, a mild flu-like illness, some body aches, not, feeling a little tired and run down. Also pretty common, but I think even most of the people that have received both doses, the most common side effect is a little arm soreness at the injection site that goes away in about 24 hours. So there are side effects, but they appear to be very mild.
Great information, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Again, that was U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson, Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe and the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon. Keep hanging out with us right here on the Joint Force.
You're hanging out with the Joint Force crew on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best. And today we are joined by a very special guest. It's U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson, Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe, and also the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon. Sir, thank you so much for being here. We've been talking all about the new COVID vaccine and who's eligible and whether it's safe. We have all sorts of questions about it. But when will people who have been vaccinated get their second dose?
So given how we started vaccinating just right after Christmas, so it'll be about 2 weeks that those that got their initial doses will get their second dose. The recommendation with the Moderna vaccine that we use is the general window is sometime after 24 days after the first vaccine. Right now, it can be anywhere from 24 to 45 days, but we're really looking at kind of we've been telling people 24 to 28 days. Depending on the MTF, there is a variety of instructions. Some were given an appointment when they got their first shot to come back for their second. At a couple of the other MTFs, they were asking folks to call in to make an appointment in a block of time when they're in that window. But it's really important that people do get their second dose, because while there is some effectiveness to just getting one dose, when you get the second dose, that effectiveness goes from roughly 50% to almost 95%. So the second dose is really, really important for protection and kind of seals the deal in terms of getting the appropriate immune response from the vaccine.
Well, that makes sense. We are all trying to stay as far away from it as we can. But speaking of which, will I need to wear a mask and avoid close contact with others once I have actually received my 2 doses of the vaccine?
At this point, yes, and I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is we absolutely know, based on the clinical trials, that if you get 2 doses of vaccine, your chance of having a severe illness or really any illness from COVID is practically zero. What we don't know yet, although we think it will be true, but we don't know for certain yet whether it's possible for you to be an asymptomatic carrier. So could you, have the virus and pass it to others and just not be sick? And for that reason, we still advise people to follow the 3 Ws, wash your hands, wear face covering, practice physical distancing until we reach a point in our community where the vaccine rate is roughly 75%. And at that point in time, we get into what's called, many people have heard, is your herd immunity, that there are enough people vaccinated to protect those people that are not vaccinated. So up until that point, we still are advising people to follow the 3 Ws. And hopefully as a community, we'll get to that point, sometime in the spring, summertime, as we continue to roll out the vaccine to all of our populations.
And this is such important information to put out there. So, sir, we do genuinely appreciate you coming here and telling us all this great stuff.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, sir. And once again, that was U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Thompson. He's the Commanding General for Regional Health Command Europe and also the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command Surgeon.